welcome back to the channel on our continuing voyage to become better blues players. My name's Mark, and the solo you've just heard me playing is over a backing track that was sent to me by Tom Bailey. Please go and check out his backing tracks, they're absolutely excellent. He sent me the backing track and I thought it was really interesting because the chord progression is really cool, sounds super bluesy, it's quite funky, but it's got some interesting chords in it. And that was a bit of a challenge to play over. So the chord progression is a 2-bar repeating phrase. The first, it starts with a bar of B minor, followed by half a bar of G, followed by an F sharp 7. Okay, and that repeating 2-bar phrase happens 3 times. And then the 4th time through, we have 2 bars of E7. Okay, so that's a really unusual set of chords. And what we'll be discussing in today's lesson is different approaches and scales that you can use to solo over them. So this follows on from my last lesson. In the last lesson, I taught the entire solo that you've just heard with tab on screen, just taking you through lick by lick. But we didn't talk about any of the scales or ideas, I just taught it lick by lick. So in today's lesson, we're going to look at the ideas and the scales and where those come from. Okay, so the first thing to do is I went through it and I thought, well, you know what, don't worry about the chord progression. It's a blues in B minor, so just play some blues licks because blues licks sound great. So the first time through the chord progression, I just stuck to B minor pentatonic and played some blues licks. So let's have a listen to what that sounds like. Licks 1 to 5 there of the solo, and you'd have seen I've just stuck to B minor pentatonic, box position 1 and 2. Let's have a closer look now at the chords and the notes that make up those underlying chords. So we've got a B minor, a G, an F sharp 7 and an E7. Now when we look at the notes that make up those chords and we compare that to the B minor pentatonic scale, we'll see that that F sharp 7 really has got a bit of a clash going on because that chord contains an A sharp, whereas our scale, B minor pentatonic, contains an A. And classical music theory would tell you that when the chord progression sharpens that A to an A sharp, that the underlying scale, the B minor pentatonic, shouldn't really work. That A note should clash, but it doesn't. Sounds fine. When I first got the backing track from Tom and I played over it, it was a B minor pentatonic, it was a B minor blues. I played B minor pentatonic and it sounds great, sounds nice and bluesy. So the first takeaway from this is you can actually just kind of ignore a lot of the theory. Don't worry about too much about the underlying chords. Trust your ears. If it sounds good, it is good. If the pentatonic scale works and nice bluesy licks work, then just go with it. It works perfectly fine. Trust your ears. Don't worry too much about the theory. Okay, so let's take a look now, a little closer look at the notes of those chords. So in his video of the backing track of this, Tom suggests using the B natural minor scale. So I'll put on the screen what the B natural minor scale looks like. And again, that should clash really with the, particularly that F sharp 7, because again, B natural minor includes an A note, whereas the F sharp 7, being a dominant chord, includes an A sharp note. So these should clash. However, if you've seen my Essential Music Theory for Blues Guitarists video, you'd have seen that actually when it comes to the blues, blues is a style of music that allows us a certain amount of leeway when it comes to these things. We don't have to stick to exact classical music theory. When you get those tensions where you get odd notes that don't kind of or not really supposed to work, they can actually just sound a little more dirty and a little more bluesy. And so you can use these kind of notes that aren't really in the underlying chords, and it just sounds a little bit dirty and a little bit bluesy. So what you'll see me do now is I'll take the next part of the solo, and here's me playing just the B natural minor scale, licks from the B natural minor scale over the same chord progression. So hear how this sounds. It sounds a little bit more melodic, but we still get some of that nice bluesy, dirty sound coming in. So before we move on, let's just take a look at lick 9 again. Lick 9 goes like this. Okay, so all of the notes there are in B natural minor scale. However, when I was soloing, I wasn't really thinking B natural minor scale when it came to that E7 chord. When I heard that on the backing track, I basically just thought, play something bluesy in E. And so if you've seen my lessons before, you'll know that I play that kind of lick quite a lot, and it's one of my kind of favorite bluesy little sounds. So even though technically it's part of B natural minor, I didn't worry about it too much. When I heard that the chord progression go to the E7, I just thought E blues licks. Okay, so let's have a look at a slightly different approach now. So if we have a look at those chords again and the notes that make up those chords, what we'll see is that we've got that A sharp in the F7 chord. So for the B minor and the G chord, we can use B natural minor or B minor pentatonic and everything's fine. But classical theory really tells us that over that F sharp 7 chord, we should use B harmonic minor. Now B harmonic minor, I'll put this on screen so you can see it next to the B minor scale, the B natural minor scale. The difference between the B natural minor scale and the B harmonic minor scale is that in harmonic minor, that A has been sharpened to an A sharp. So technically, when we get to that F sharp 7 chord, that's really the scale that we should be playing over that chord. Now, there's a couple of things with this. First of all, we only land on that chord for 2 beats, so we can't do anything wild over there because we're not on it for a long time. But secondly, I'll be honest, when I was younger, I did learn the harmonic minor scale and its modes, and it's really horrible. I don't like it because on the guitar, the fingering for it, the patterns just don't really it doesn't feel nice to play. There's no kind of natural kind of bending and things that you can get out of there. It feels a little awkward under the fingers. Well, it did for me anyway. I'm sure there's plenty of players who can play amazing stuff with it. But for me, it never quite felt natural under the fingers. So I've always stayed away from it, but I understand it enough so that I understand that it includes the A sharp, not the A. So when it came to the final time through the chord progression in the solo, I wanted to address that F sharp 7 with the B harmonic minor sound, but I didn't want to have to suddenly switch to playing B harmonic minor scale. So I cheated, basically. I know that the difference between natural minor and harmonic minor is the A goes to an A sharp. So basically, when the chord progression was going round, I was playing B natural minor or B minor pentatonic, and when we get to the F7 chord, I basically just landed on an A sharp to really emphasize the fact that this chord's different, we're using harmonic minor, and I'm only doing that by just playing one particular note to play the A sharp. So you'll notice every lick ends with this note here, which is the A sharp. So I might play like a pentatonic line, but then just end with that A sharp. Okay, so listen through it now. Hear what I do. Oh, and before we do, actually one more thing. That E7 chord also doesn't really fit with B natural minor scale. If it was B natural minor scale, the E would be an E minor, not an E dominant 7. So when it came to the E7 chord, what I've done is I've just ignored B completely and I've gone with an E dominant 7 arpeggio line. So I think the line goes something like this. Okay, something like that anyway. You're about to hear it now. So when it goes through, take a listen. Every time we hit the F sharp 7 chord, I land on an A sharp, and then when we finally get to the E7 at the end, I abandon B completely, and what I do is play the E dominant 7 arpeggio. So here it is. So that was the solo. If you'd like a copy of the tab, then send me an email. Details are in the description below and I'll send you the tab. Please go check out the video from 2 weeks ago, which is me going through all of those lick by lick, taking each lick apart nice and slow. This is the follow-up video where we talk about like all the scales and ideas. So you've heard me play through the solo. We've had the first time through, we just played some blues and it worked perfectly fine. The second time through, we played some just B natural minor scale, and even though there's bits of clash here and there, because it's bluesy, it kind of works, and you get blues allows you a lot of leeway with that kind of thing. And the third time through, you saw me really try and approach and play those chord changes by emphasizing the differences in those two peculiar chords that stick out, the F sharp 7 and the E7. I hope you've enjoyed this lesson. Big thanks to Tom Bailey Music. Go check out his backing tracks, they're really great. Big thanks to the Patreon supporters and those who contribute through the PayPal tip jar, because that really does keep the channel alive, keeps the channel going, and makes the tab and everything else available for you. So take care, and I'll see you next time.